Welcome to the Collective Awakening podcast, creating a loving and sacred space to share truth and knowledge, bringing together from around the world like-minded souls who wish to share their truth and wisdom in this great time of conscious awakening.
Hosted by Chris and Stephen of the Purple Mountain Spiritual, Health and Wellbeing Centre. Hello friends and welcome to the Collective Awakening podcast. I'm Chris along with Stephen of the Purple Mountain Spiritual and Wellbeing Centre, and we are joined once again by our guest Max Reeder. He is an energy healer and self-mastery coach. We're so pleased that Max is joining us once again, and we're going to hope to cover in this time as many subjects as we can.
Let's go.
No holes barred. So welcome, Max. Great for you to be with us again.
Chris, Stephen, great to see you guys again. Thanks a lot for having me on again. And I love the intro. That's a really nice touch to your episodes. I think that it really sets the frame really well.
Thank you.
Oh, Thank you so much. So Max, I think a good place to start, because we have spoke before, I believe it was about 12 months ago around there, is what has been going on around you in this past 12 months? What's been developing, or what shifts or changes have been happening?
Well, that's a good question to start off with. Chris, it was crazy, man. It's after that podcast happened, crazy stuff happened. I went to LA for a healing seminar, and basically my teacher from Austria, he was in California and was giving a workshop, and I didn't know how I was going to make it. I had $100 in my account at the time. I just flew out to LA and was willing to sleep on the street or anything, and just everything good that could have happened, and it was a pretty crazy magical journey. So we got healing stuff from that, it's insane levels of healing stuff. I look totally different than I looked last time you guys were interviewing me, and that's everybody in these workshops looked totally different by the end of the workshops, because when you release this emotional crap that we hold on to, you physically change. Something that really is not talked about a lot in the West is that emotions are physically represented in the body.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. But it's crazy, man. We had a CE5 in Ojai, in the mountain town in California. I met Mark Sims. He's he reports directly to Stephen Greer, and we had a contact experience of the fifth kind out in an amphitheater in the mountains in California.
Wow.
It was amazing. I got to meet Alan Steinfeld, as an author, ET researcher. There was a couple of other authors with him. We all got together this night after this amazing healing workshop happened. And 20 of us just got together, meditated, and asked for a contact experience. And we got one. We got to see two ships in the sky.
Yeah, did you go live with that? Were you on Facebook?
I have a TikTok video about it. I did post a video about it. I got one of the ships on camera. It just looks like this really bright white light, much brighter than planes, because it actually passes by a plane. You can see it's much different. And it's moving in organic directions, and then it cloaked. It went to 20%, 10% brightness. So you could barely see it, but you could still kind of see it. And that was really cool.
Yeah, it's interesting, because last time we spoke, I think it was Stephen that asked the question about us as we raise our vibrations on the earth, that are we getting prepared to meet that higher vibration of other worlds and
right, exactly. Yeah, and there's definitely a big aspect of that. Stephen, that was really good input. I remember you talking about that. That's a better way to say it than I could ever try to, because that's especially when you have 20 people harmonizing. One of the things that was really interesting was we were doing this vocal harmonization. For over 10 minutes, all 20 people, we were all sitting in a meditative posture and going you, and everyone was just harmonizing with this sound and expanding out to the sky with this intention to make contact, to the point where ships started appearing.
So powerful. I mean, we're doing a lot of work at the Purple Mountain at the moment with mantras, and we're finding them really powerful, aren't we, Stephen?
Amazing. And with the meditation, and like I said last time, an opportunity to connect like-minded spirits, and combining our energy can really open up those energies, and the transformation, the changes are happening now. We as humans, we can either go along with it, or we'll stay behind, keeping behind the third dimensional wall, and we're moving away from that third dimensional simulation. And as we're breaking free, we're moving into a fourth, fifth, sixth dimension, and we can be part of that, can't we? And I think you mentioned last time, Max, as well, that friends from other worlds, they've been visiting us, they've been with us for tens of millions of years. They're not just coming now. So they've been waiting patiently for us, for people like us to, as we're awakening, and to make that connection with them.
Yeah, I agree. It's open. It's an open line of communication. And we talked about Max Christensen too, the ex-Navy SEAL who became a Taoist monk. And, he talks about that too. Like there are, I think that he calls them star beings. And, to be sure that you want that relationship, like, because once you open up that line of communication, it's open. And, and this is one of the most like secular, practical people that you can meet, and talking about like, yeah, you can talk to the star people. Like, it's a consciousness thing.
Yeah, it's that sending that communication. So yeah, and it's great as well that groups are openly doing that work as well.
Oh yeah, I was surprised to meet as many people as I met that had experienced the same kind of thing, because I thought like, I was like, oh, I experienced this rare thing, and apparently it's like so common now. It's really cool. Like, oh yeah, you did one of those too. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
I definitely see the landscape changing.
And I think when you put it on social media, I commented saying, I want to be there. I want to experience this.
Oh yeah. I want to do one now. I think that we could do one. Like, I think that if you got a group of people together, I don't think there's that much to it.
Yeah.
Because I've done it alone. Other people have done it alone too. And especially if you have a group, merging that intention together, I think that it could be really likely that something could be seen, could be experienced.
Yeah, I mean, you can achieve incredible things when you have a like-minded group. Maybe do a collective one across the world where we all come together.
Oh, imagine that! Yeah, that'll be the Earth contact experience, undeniable.
Do you think, Max? While we're talking about the subjects of Friends from the Worlds, and we were talking about this earlier on about the importance of self-healing, and I know you've been doing a lot of inner work and working on self, and that's how we're going to help heal the earth, aren't we? By working on ourselves, our being, our emotional body, our mental body, our physical body, and lifting our vibrations. And I feel sort of, as there's so many of us awakening, and it might link into a little bit about your experiences you're having with Friends from the World, is a lot of sacred places, particularly in America, that a lot of indigenous Native American Indian people had very spiritual connection to these places, and particularly in the UK, in Europe with the ancient Celts and Saxons, Stonehenge, circles, stone circles, ley line systems. And a lot of those areas over thousands of years have been poisoned and closed because of humanity's greed and selfishness, and lowering the vibrations of the earth.
Sure.
Now, do you feel that it's sort of part of our job in a way to go back to these places to try to heal them, to unblock them? I'm talking about the sort of more the ley lines and the grids. So, you go into that place, did you say in the mountains, and you sort of made that connection with Friends from the Worlds. So you're probably there for a reason, won't you? To not only connect with them, but also to do healing work as well.
Yeah, I was receiving healing work. I was meeting my teacher and learning, empty force. I think we might have talked about empty force last time, the contactless self-defense system. And
yeah,
it's really, I mean, that's what people see on YouTube videos, but it's really heart healing. It's a heart-centered, radical acceptance posture. And when you're there and you're fully present in the body, there's so much crazy stuff that's possible. And all people see on YouTube is, contactless self-defense, let's call it bullshito. And it's really a healing modality. It's an advanced form of Qigong. So that's what I was learning over there. But as far as the sites, the sacred sites, it's really interesting thought. And it would probably do a lot of good things for the earth if those were properly maintained or restored. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, it totally makes sense. I really like that idea. I also think that it's normal, it's totally natural for there to be cycles of construction and destruction. And so it's not necessarily that it's bad that, you know, something was destroyed or left derelict, left to I don't know, I want to say rot, left to decompose. I don't know. But yeah, it does come from the conscious intent to step forward and create that construction process again, to build something that's going to harmonize the world and give us, harmonize the grid, basically, so that we're not so erratic and maybe prone to subtle manipulations, like electromagnetic things in the air and things that that negatively affect our well-being. We were talking about we talked a little bit about electrical charges in the last meeting, but that's another thing about like how our natural state is being thrown off balance. We live in an electromagnetic soup. Like it's very significant. Dr. Robert Becker in the 60s proved that electromagnetism was the foundation of life. He was studying regeneration in salamanders and other organisms, and he found that there's an invisible electromagnetic field that sends signals to the cells to build along this electromagnetic field. So that's how it knows, like salamander knows, their body knows how to, like, where to put cells for the foot or for the toes or for the leg, because there's this invisible field. So if there's electromagnetic corruption, then if there's something interfering with our field, and we don't have this harmonious, clear picture to tell our DNA what to do, or to even feel emotionally stable in the moment. So I don't really talk about 5G a lot, but I think that's really an interesting thing to think about with all the Wi-Fi signals and all the electromagnetic radiation around us all the time.
And that's an amazing point, that, Max, because it's something that I've been sort of looking towards when we're looking at DNA, amending our DNA that's been fractured because of those negative electromagnetic impulses that are charged in the atmosphere that have contaminated the atmosphere, the electromagnetic grid, and that's affected us on a cellular level. But there is some fantastic research, and unfortunately, we do live in a society where if you do speak outside the box, and if you do think differently, or if you're not going by that particular script, you're thrown out. Doctors, professors, people that have written 30 books are thrown. They're quacks. They're mad. They're mad scientists. But there was
you get cancelled.
Get cancelled. But there was I couldn't quite remember who the scientist was, but he's been doing research for nearly 40 years, and it might be some of the people that you've mentioned there, Max, about how cells are transmitters and they are receivers. All our cells receive information. And that information doesn't just come from the brain, the neurons or the protons in the brain. It actually comes from an outside source. It comes from another vibration. And a lot of professors and around the world are trying to hush him down. They said, that's wrong. And he was saying, well, look at my research. Cells do not just transmit, they receive information. Perhaps dimensionally, the spirit world, whatever you want to call it, we are constant receiving information. And I think it's not the fact that people are right or wrong, is having the right to express these ideas to really get us talking, because there is such a narrow narrative that is placed upon us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. What do you feel should happen with how the conversation goes globally, like with talking about healing, talking about overcoming the censorship that's really commonplace right now? What do you feel like is the best way for us to go forward from here?
I think a cooperation of like-minded people. I think as well, I don't think there's going to be a magic wand that is suddenly going to bring everybody together. And I think when we look at duality, the light and the shadow, and me and Chris are very big on this, and we've been talking about this, that you always need the other side of not negativity, but the other shadow side of humanity. You always need that because it teaches people like us as light workers the greatest lessons. So in a way, I mean, when you look at history as well, Max, you know, history is not to be liked, it's to be taught. It is to share the experiences of humanity and look at history books, how it's been tainted and manipulated to suit. But I feel that maybe a cooperation, a collective, and I think it's happening now as well. I think, Max, so many people are awakening. Too many people are questioning things now. The seed's been planted, and in a way as well, I'm going to be very controversial here. We've been looking at scientists and leaders and people in power for far too long, and I think we within us have a lot of knowledge and power within us. We have the knowledge and the experiences, not just from this life. And it's just remembering who we are, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
What do you think?
Well said. Yeah, well, it's kind of on my mind because I got banned from TikTok recently, like permanently banned. And I don't know why. They didn't tell me why. But it seemed like a mod was picking on me for a while. But like, it kind of shook me a little bit because I was like, I built my everything on TikTok, and I was trying to get the message of healing out to people, you know, like, but it seemed like if I talked too much about real healing, then the video would get taken down, or I would get temporarily or permanently banned, you know. So I reached out and I was just like, it's okay. I was literally just talking to my brother about, you need to be okay with, you know, losing anything so that you're not living in fear and manifesting that very thing. Yeah. And then like right after that conversation, I got permanently banned from TikTok. I was like, I could lose my TikTok account at some point. And then anyway, I got it back, but like I'm trying to say it really made me more cognizant of how, like, what we're allowed to talk about, or how you can get your message across to people without getting censored.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I met Dr. Joe Mercola in Miami back in November. And he's the most censored doctor in the world right now. I mean, he had the president of the United States talking about him not too long ago, because he talks about the COVID jab. He talks about the real data behind how people have adverse reactions, or how people can protect themselves against COVID by having healthy vitamin D levels. Like,
yes,
you know, he talks about these things, and he was threatened. He was threatened that his family would be hurt and his business would be attacked, and he would be sued if he didn't take down his research articles from the last 15 years. So all this natural healing research he had to take down from his website. And he was talking about it at a conference, and he was crying, you know, mentioning all this because it was basically his life's work. And I've been reading Mercola articles since I was a little kid, back in the 90s. So like, it's a big deal that they've come down so hard on him, but like, he's the most vocal, actually looking out for people's health. But if you're as truthful as him, then you're going to get completely blocked out. You know what I mean? So it's like we have to talk about things and let people kind of figure things out for themselves. Like, I can't out and out say, you can heal your cancer, you can heal your whatever, but I can say, hey, you can heal things in the body. Look at, this is how you balance things. Maybe you can heal things the doctor said you couldn't, you know?
Yeah, it seems to be something that's certainly being doubled down on. That seems to be more relevant in the months that have just gone. And myself and Stephen have had many conversations, and you know, you've got probably the most one of the most notable recently was, you know, with Joe Rogan and people like that. And like you say, it feels like anything that's not part of the narrative is soon cut away. And I personally feel perhaps our job is to keep going and
for sure,
and spread that word wherever we can.
Definitely not going to stop. I mean, that only makes me want to do it more. Like earlier, cross-posting across all platforms. That's the lesson I learned. Like, don't just post on TikTok. You know, I got to be on Rumble, Facebook, Instagram. You know, what's that one that came out? Truth Social just came out. Like, I want to really, especially be on platforms that aren't going to get censored, so that I don't have to worry about all the videos going away.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other side where platforms are being created,
Yeah.
and there are those out there who are making their own platforms as well, and then they are being supported in everywhere they need to be supported. Yeah, sorry, Stephen, you were going to say something.
I'm going to be again very controversial, but I've said for, bring more censorship, bring back more lockdowns, because in that push is humanity needs that push. I know it sounds a bit funny, but we need that duality. We need
I hear you, brother. I hear you.
So we need the more of the shadow, we need more of the dark to come in to really waken people up.
Sure.
And if everything was all love and light, people talk about wanting to go back to normal. Well, what is the norm? I don't want to go back to what was before. I want to move forward to a better
Oh my God,
future.
I love that. Yes.
So I say bring back, because bring a fire, bring a fire in us, Max. Bring a fire in us.
Bring it on.
Right on. Yeah. No, I like that perspective, and that's how I find peace with what's going on in the world at all. Is that like anything that you might say is negative going on in the world? I mean, it's going to bring people to the point of realization that they need to be brought to. So that's definitely a silver lining.
Definitely.
But in the meantime, I'm going to spread, and you guys too, we're going to spread as much of this message as we can, so as many people are ready to listen.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely the reason why we're doing this podcast, 100%. And even we find by having these conversations with yourself and many others, myself and Stephen, feel energized and nourished after, because we're sharing truth. We're sharing our own truths. And whenever you do that, you should feel good. I always think if you're in any situation where you feel bored or your energy's dropping, it's time to sidestep it.
Well, I just want to ask you a question. Sorry, Max. I just want to ask you a question. So that experience, there'll be people listening that are probably experienced or are or could be experiencing something very similar with you, where you might be banned from TikTok or you might be banned from Facebook. What advisement would you give people through your personal experience if someone's going through that?
Well, I know for at least TikTok, you could usually get unbanned. They ban people all the time, even mega influencers with 10 million followers, and you can appeal the ban. There's a secret email that I learned about. If you're on TikTok and you get banned, communitymanager@tiktok.com is the email you can use. I just sent them an email and then nothing, and then 4 days later I sent them another email and then I got unbanned. So that's for TikTok. For I don't know if it works the same for Facebook and Instagram and those platforms, but I would imagine if you could find employees like on LinkedIn, this is what other people will do. You can find employees and like just message the employees. Find any company email addresses that you can email. Kind of just like spam the company and beg them to unban you. But you got to reach a person. You have to reach a person. That's the thing, like an actual person that'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
It's so hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be difficult to do. You got to navigate.
Well, you can social media. Everybody's public about where they work, so you can find employees of whatever social media company.
Yeah.
So, Max, I want to ask you a little bit about that conversation has been amazing, but I could talk about that all day. But a little bit about your healing work that you've done with eyes. I think this is going to be really, really interesting. I mean, you can look at me. I've got bad eyes. I've got glasses on here. And so what's been going on? Do you want to tell everybody a little bit about your research, what you've been working on, what you found?
Sure. Right now, I'm in the middle of taking in people for a beta group for Eyesight Healing System course. So after I got out of the Navy, we talked about this last time. I got out of the Navy at 22, had a whole host of health problems. One of them was vision loss. So I had astigmatism, and it had gotten to the point where I couldn't read words off a page easily. It was my entire, like I'm seeing with perfect clarity right now, but everything was very unfocused. And I remember thinking like, wow, well, I already started to lose my vision, and I'm in my early 20s. And I started to really get into holistic healing. I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was getting into UFOs, and then this kind of goes hand in hand with that. So I was finding out about all these cures and the wonders of turmeric and all this stuff. And there was this guy Dr. Jacob Lieberman, who healed his eyesight in college. He was in optometry school and he was practicing meditation, and he had really bad vision ever since he was like 6, wearing glasses. And he was practicing meditation, and then he had an out-of-body experience, and then saw himself with crystal clarity, and then he came back to his body and he had 20/20 vision. And he confirmed it on the phoropter afterwards that his vision had improved. And so basically, he healed his vision with meditation. And I was like, that's amazing. That's really cool. And I want to do that. So I just started implementing different lifestyle practices and meditations to kind of reset my brain, reset my body. It's not just about the brain, because it's also about the body. If your body's out of sync, if your body's stressed, cramped, constricted, then your vision is going to be constricted. So the whole idea is we see eyesight as something that has to do with our eyes. Or maybe let's call it vision. Vision might be a more accurate word. We see vision as what has to do with our eyes. It has everything to do with your consciousness and how you're interfacing with your reality. So if you have, like, I have this degenerative eye condition, I have myopia, I have astigmatism, I have whatever excuses for the vision problem, your vision can be corrected. Your vision can be improved. And it starts with the brain, not the eyes. So I was able to heal my vision back to 2010. And now I'm helping people in a course format, because I always get so many people asking me, like, what can I do for my eyes? What can I do for my eyes? Sometimes when I have an energy healing session with someone, they'll note afterwards that they can see completely clearly. They don't want to wear their glasses anymore, whatever. That can happen if somebody's really open for transformation and they have a big shift. Doesn't necessarily happen to everybody. It depends on when the person is ready to release the aspects of their ego that are keeping them in this like protective suffering. And when that happens, then you can see more clearly, your skin's more clear, everything's more clear. So I'm walking people through right now, and I'm taking people into a beta group. Basically, the course isn't launched right now. I haven't even made it yet. But I'm going to take people through a month-long program and just help as many people improve their eyesight as possible. So, and then from there, what I really want to do is collect a bunch of testimonials, a lot of testimonials of people healing their eyesight, so that nobody can legitimately say there's nothing you can do to improve your eyesight. Because it's one thing if I say I did it. It's another thing if I say, like, I've helped a few clients did it. It's another thing if I have a page of 50 testimonials of people saying, I improved my eyesight. I don't have to wear glasses anymore. That's really the goal. I think that would be a really cool message.
Absolutely.
To the world, like how much of a bullshit matrix we live in, and how you can really heal from anything. 90% of us don't have to wear glasses, believe it or not. Sorry to be the bearer of good news.
So what kind of lifestyle changes, when you were talking about any sort of advisement you can give people out there regarding sort of their eyes?
Yeah, sure. Well, one of the biggest things is spending time outdoors. Spend time outdoors for a lot of reasons. Like, I like to be barefoot outdoors to electrically ground my body and neutralize free radicals, and balance the electrical charge of the cells. But also that has nothing to do with eyesight, by the way. It's just a nice lifestyle thing. Eyesight, sunlight. Sunlight's good for your eyes. Not saying to stare at the sun, but getting sunlight contacting your eyes is good for your eyes. It calibrates your eyes. With this lockdown with 2020 lockdown in China, they had record numbers of myopia. They had studies coming out about how many kids were developing nearsightedness, more than ever, because they were all locked down in their houses. In internal environments where you're not using your full range of vision, and there's no sunlight inside, and you're looking at screens all the time. It's even worse if you're looking at screens in a dark room, which was what pretty much my naval career was, which is why my vision got so bad. That, and the fact that I was really stressed out, my body was falling apart from all the stress. But yeah, sunlight's good for you. Again, not saying to stare at the sun, but like the idea that we need to wear sunglasses and that the sunlight's never supposed to touch our eyes, completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Your sun is good for your eyes. You arguably need a little bit of sunlight to see well in the long term. Using your vision at different ranges. If you're only looking at a computer screen or a book, 3 feet in front of your face, that's going to train your eyes to only need to see that. Your eyes aren't supposed to just be staring at one distance. We're supposed to be in a dynamic, variable landscape with different ranges of vision being used all the time. And we kind of deprive ourselves from that when we want to be indoor introverts, civilized people, whatever, and remove ourselves from nature. That's what it really is at the end of the day. You're disturbing the internal balance. You're just disturbing your natural harmonious balance because you're living an unnatural, disconnected life. And so things go wonky over time. Things go out of calibration. But going outside is one of the best things that you can do.
Yeah, and I think that's something, just to link it with what we were talking about before, during this past year or 2 years of lockdowns and all this thing. I think one of the huge positives we've seen in this area is people going outdoors more and appreciating where they are, whether they have beaches, parks, nature reserves, and because they found themselves having a lot more free time, and saying, well, we're bored with our technology stuff, we need a bit more, we want to get outside, and they're finding how nourishing it is. Why have we not been doing this as much?
Oh yeah. I hope to see more of that and less of everything's going to the metaverse.
Yeah.
There's probably a major eyesight issue waiting to happen. I just can't imagine that stuff's good for your eyes, man. Have you tried it? Have you tried the Oculus?
No.
It's amazing, honestly. It was pretty life-changing to experience, but like my first impression was like, oh my God, imagine like 100 hours of this, your eyesight's going to suffer.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you what you said there. And when we're looking at things close range, because I've done it before when I'm working, and I'll be looking at my laptop with the TV behind, and I look at the TV and it's blurred. My vision has to come back.
Right.
It's just, again, stepping outside the box, looking at other possibilities, and something myself and Stephen have been talking about a lot recently. When somebody comes and said, well, I've got a problem, whatever that is, then throwing back at them, well, what are you doing about it? What have you tried? And there's a lot you can do at zero cost.
That's true. And there's a lot of people, kind of sadly, that would rather live with suffering than do anything to change their lifestyle. Hey, to each their own, to each their own. Some people, they consider that happiness. So
yeah, we're all on our own journey, but just as we're moving on from, I feel it's a good transition talking about the eyesight to skin, which is another a big thing out there. I feel people's skin, and there's a lot of skin conditions, skin problems. I know a lot of people I mix with and have come into contact with as well. And I know you, I want to talk to you about the Elixir, the Ormus Elixir.
Sure.
And I know it's something you've promoted or you've talked about on social media. So maybe if you could let our listeners know sort of what it's all about and what the benefits are.
Okay, are we back?
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing I heard was you want to hear about the Elixir? What did you say?
Yeah, that's right. The Ormus Elixir and the benefits of it and exactly what it's made up from.
Don't know that.
Yeah, or what
I wish I did. I know that lye is involved in the process. It's an ancient alchemical process that's been used for some believe as far back as ancient Egyptian times. Because Cleopatra, she was the high priest, the alchemist of her time. She was well connected to, and she had a lot of alchemical knowledge. And she would talk about bathing in this milk for her youthful complexion, like this type of milk. And this Ormus is a very like milky white substance. And I don't know exactly what's in it. I know that it basically has water and trace minerals. I can show you like a lab test of it, but what actually goes into it, I know the lye goes into it and then it's washed out.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly what physically is in it, but basically it's holy water. There's holy water in it. Not all Ormuses have this, but the one that I promote from Anu Alchemy has this really sacred holy water from India that has all kinds of crazy healing properties just on its own. I don't know if I want to go into the stories of what people have experienced just with the water, but there's just by taking the holy water, people have had good experiences with it. And so a friend of mine that I met in Mount Shasta, California, he makes Ormus. He's been an alchemist for the past few decades. When his wife was terminally ill with cancer, and he started alchemy to keep her alive, and he kept her alive for another 30 years. So now I met him, and he offered me this Ormus that he had used and his wife had used to regrow their gums, which is another thing that's supposed to be impossible. Well, at the time, my gums were coming off my teeth. I had really bad gingivitis, and I decided I would give it a try and started using it to massage into the bottom of my gums. And after a couple of months of very inconsistently doing it, saw that my gum tissue was regrowing, and that it was the infection was completely cleared up, and my gums had reattached to my teeth, which was the coolest part. They were literally coming off. Like when I would brush my teeth, the gums would go, it was really gross. And the Ormus helps to restore that. And the thing is, it has these unexplainable healing effects all over people's bodies. Like people put it on a rash or skin condition that doesn't heal, and then it goes away in a few days. I've had some of my followers use it for their kids' acne, and it gets rid of acne. I haven't used it for acne personally, but I use it on my face to smooth the skin. It makes your skin soft. It makes your skin look a lot younger. The alchemist that makes it has been reverse aging in his face since he's been using it for the last 5 or so years, maybe longer. But you can see he's got pictures of his grandkids getting older as he looks like he's getting younger. It's really cool. But yeah, it's basically alchemical elixir that's been around for a long, long time, and may have also been the manna that was served to the Israelites in the desert. So really cool stuff. It was originally Ormus. Ormus is a little bit different from Ormic minerals. See, Ormus was basically first discovered in modern times. I don't remember the year. Was it the 80s? I think it was the 80s. I might be wrong. Sorry if I'm wrong, but this guy he had this volcanic earth in his backyard in Arizona, and he wanted to see if it had some valuable minerals. So he goes and gets this volcanic earth tested. And what they found was that it contained nothing. It was nothing. Like it didn't have any carbon in it. It didn't have, it was nothing. And so it was really puzzling to him because it should have been something. So he kept having it put through all these tests. Sometimes it would come up as just normal dirt, and sometimes it would come up as there's nothing in it, even though it was like, actually there was a little bit of carbon. What is it? Iron and silica, carbon something in silica. There was a little bit of it, but the rest of it was all untestable. It was all just nothing. And so basically what he found, he did a lot of research with it over decades, and eventually found that it creates precious metals, or it contains precious metals that are in what he called an M state, which is like a spin state that does not physically show up in material reality, but it is in essence there. Like this dirt does nothing. If they lit it up long enough, if they pass an electrical charge through it, then it would show up as rhodium, gold, platinum, palladium. And so this, it would be physically there. The challenge for him was getting it to stay there, because it would light up and it would be these precious metals, and then it would go away and become something else. So basically he discovered this and tried to patent it. And the DOD, or the patent office, was getting really sketched out about it because he couldn't, the craziest thing about it was the weight would change. Okay. So when he's heating it up, the weight of this would change. Like it would go from really, really heavy to really, really light, to even being negative weight, like to reduce, like making the scale negative weight, because it would reduce so much in weight. It would look like it was gone. Then he'd heat it up again, and then it would be back again. So he basically, this is what he was discovering, and he coined it. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a letter wrong. The original name for it was Ormus. It wasn't Ormus. It was like, I don't remember. It was Ormic minerals. I don't know why I can't remember it right now. But anyway, that's the origin of like how we know about Ormus now today. And he was going to mass produce it himself, but experienced a chemical spill in his factory that he had just put together. And basically it was a freak accident that prevented it from being mass distributed, which is really convenient, I think.
Yeah.
But it's been shown to improve brain activity and balance brain hemispheres, in addition to all the cool healing benefits that it has. So it's used for meditation. Yeah, and people, probably the most people use it for is using it on their skin. That's the most popular thing to use it for.
Oh, can you drink it as well?
Yeah, you can
make
drink
into a liquid
it. You
form?
can put it anywhere.
Right. And how would you get any of this elixir? Can people buy it straight from you, or?
You can find a link on my website for some. The type that I use and that I recommend people use, because I can't speak to any other kind of Ormus. I know that this Ormus that I specifically use is made with a very special kind of holy water called Navaposhanam water. Navaposhanam water is basically this ancient blend of herbs and minerals that are balanced. Navaposhanam literally translates to 9 toxins. So people get scared and they're like, oh, is there toxins? Or 9 poisons? They're like, oh, is there poisons in my water? No, it's just these herbs and minerals are balanced in such a way that it's non-toxic, and it's in these beads that are used to activate the water. So that's how the water becomes this holy water that has these very strange etheric properties. But yeah, my website's maxwellreader.com, reeder.com. And you can find a link on there. You can also join my Eyesight Healing Beta group if you want to do that. But yeah, that's where you can get a link for the Ormus, and people's experience range all over the place, but they can't guarantee any medical results, or they would get shut down by the FDA. So it's really just something that's for meditation, but it can do a whole lot more.
Yeah, so we'll post that link, by the way, for anybody, if you're listening or watching.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate
link
it.
below, so you'll be able to follow that through. So it's amazing stuff, and it really feels everything we're talking about here is self healing. But before I get onto that, I want to ask you about water, because I know you mentioned water. Now, here at the Purple Mountain, we have been filtering our water here for quite some time through crystals. Also using Mirum glass. So is there anything you do with your water, or how do you drink it, or what water do you drink? Is there anything specific that you do?
I got a Berkey filter downstairs right now, which I don't know everything that it filters out, honestly, because it's my roommate's. I just try to get filtered water. I don't really like, you know what, actually interesting topic, because plastic bottles. So I got gyno last year, where you develop excess breast tissue. And actually there's a whole epidemic of estrogen, high estrogen and low testosterone in men. By the way, you probably know about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I experienced that, like, even though I had a good routine, I was living healthy, that I was getting gyno. I was getting titties, and just it wasn't fat. It was this breast tissue that was coming up and, making my nipples point out like that. And I have some pictures of it on my TikTok, but basically I went to the acupuncturist and she was like, you need to stop drinking water out of plastic bottles. You have too much estrogen going on in your body. And, I started looking into it. I'd heard a little bit about it before, but I was always like, whatever, you guys are just too scared of everything. No, it's like these plastics, most of these plastics that you'll find bottled beverages in, they have estrogenic chemicals that counteract testosterone in the body. Go figure. So I stopped. I was drinking all my water out of plastic. It's supposed to be healthy water, but it was in plastic bottles. So it may have been counterintuitive for healthy stuff. So I don't do that anymore.
Yeah, but
I always drink it filtered.
Yeah, we stopped a while back with the plastic. We came across quite a lot of information of what it can do, especially when plastic bottles of water are put out in the sun as well, and the sort of chemicals releases into that water. So absolutely, we've been on glass. Anybody listening, use glass bottles or
yeah, glass. I would definitely bought some glass containers after that.
Yeah.
Have you heard, Max, of what we call don't know how I'm going to pronounce it. I'll call it Mirum glass or Myron glass. Have you ever heard?
No, tell me more. No, that sounds really interesting. How you guys filter your water?
Yeah, we activate the water, because a lot of water that comes from the taps called dead water. So the water has to be reactivated, because the water is alive. It's an energy. It's an energy form. So Mirum glass is basically a technology that the ancient Egyptians had, the alchemists, during the Egyptians is actually it looks black. The glass looks black, and actually there's a big company in Switzerland that is actually producing a lot of this mirror glass. So it refracts different spectrums of light. Now, certain spectrums of light damages cellular tissue, so it keeps the water fresh and it keeps it alive. So it refracts, the mirror glass refracts all spectrums of light except for red light, which is apparently meant to activate the water. Now you can get containers for food. Now, fridges are one of the worst things for your food. Now, people have done scientific experiments on this where they've had mirror glass containers with the lid on. They've put tomatoes in. They've covered it up. After 6 weeks, they took it off and it's still fresh.
Wow.
And the one they've put in a plastic container is gone off within a week.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we'll send you the links, Max. You should get into it. It's amazing, and it's not that expensive.
I don't understand. The fridge is dark though, so it's not just about light.
No, it's about energy, isn't it? Remember, we don't eat food, we eat energy. So light, not just as much as the light in the fridge, but if you leave it there in the sunlight, the tomato in the mirror glass, it refracts the light and keeps the food alive and fresh. That's what it does to the water. It's amazing technology. Now the containers are quite expensive, but the more people buy it, the cheaper it will be. There's a big company in Switzerland, but you should maybe get into that, Max, because it's absolutely amazing technology.
No, yeah, that's right up my alley. Thanks for telling me about it. So how do you use it in your filtering system? Is it like it's water runs down it or what?
No, what we do is what we call a sun cycle. So we put the water in a 1 liter bottle glass, and then we leave it in direct sunlight. It's a bit difficult in the winter, but either way, you can still do it. And you have a full circle of light. So the light activates the water. Now, in other ways, we use shungite crystals and clear quartz and black obsidian to filter and carbonate the water. Then we've got an alkaline machine as well, where we alkalize the water. And then we've got another machine that I can't remember what it was called, and it steams the machine. It boils the water, and the steam, and then we filter through the water there. So there's a few. We're very paranoid with our water.
You guys are drinking good over there.
It's which vintage you want when you go.
Did I tell you that?
I want a glass of your water. I want what y'all are drinking now. You just asked me about what I was drinking so that you can make me feel bad.
No. Did we tell you, Max? We're 77 years old.
You look beautiful. You look amazing. Keep it up, whatever you're doing.
It's the water.
Yeah. Oh, incredible stuff. So in terms of, last time we were talking, we talked a little bit about fasting as well, and the power of fasting and how it could be very regenerative. Is that the right word? I think it is. So are you still doing as much of that work? Is that continuing? What's your fasting work at the moment? What's your
more?
Yeah.
I think when we had the interview last time, I was fasting most days. Now I fast every day.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that I haven't been weightlifting very much, and I haven't been eating very much. And like, I'm not just skin and bones. I mean, I know I'm kind of skinny, but like, my muscle mass is not dwindling away, and I'm not eating much, and I'm not even lifting a lot. So I just think it's really interesting that people think, if you don't gorge yourself with protein all the time, your muscles are going to wither away. And it's just not true.
Yeah.
If you use your muscles a little bit, you're going to maintain that muscle mass, and your body, if you're fasting, is going to prioritize burning fat over muscle. So that's just a common objection that I'll get from people is like, oh, but I already have a hard fast metabolism, or I don't want to lose all my muscle. You don't. So yeah, fasting, I love it. It's really it's just an easy lifestyle hack to be in a regenerative healing state all the time. But once you go 16 hours, you're in ketosis. If you can go 24 hours, you're in autophagy. Generally speaking, it can take up to 36 hours. But one thing I wanted to mention, I was hoping you'd ask about fasting. A lot of women think that it's bad for them or it's bad for women. Women just have more complex endocrine systems, and sometimes it takes time for their hormones to balance out compared to a man. And maybe we mentioned that last time, I don't remember, but it comes up so much. Like, I talk to so many women that are like, oh, my friend did it and she got acne or something, or like she had horrible health feelings or whatever. Sometimes it's a rough road for women's body to adapt to fasting, but fasting is good for everybody as long as you don't have a condition where your doctor tells you shouldn't be fasting, like adrenal fatigue or hypoglycemia.
Yeah, it's sometimes when we're going through these process, we have to ride it through a little bit. But
yeah, it can be a big shift, big shock to the body healing.
So your daily routine, if you're fasting, are you drinking water? Are you still with that when you're fasting?
Oh yeah, some people are all about the dry fast. I might, maybe someday. I like water. Water. Yeah.
Yeah.
And water is also the easiest way to fast. If you're not used to fasting and just keep drinking water throughout the day, you're really, really going to keep your hunger pains down and stay hydrated, and you feel great. You look better. Your face isn't bloated. It's just drink of water. I love it. I drink it all the time. That's probably like a spiritual bypass that I use, something that I do in excess. Drinking too much water, but
yeah, absolutely. It's and a few times again, another thing we've talked about is quite often if you're hungry or you're feeling hungry, it's not actual hunger, it's thirst. You actually need some water.
Right, exactly. A lot of the time it is. And we also just are conditioned to be stuffing ourselves all the time. That was what Dr. Joe Mercola was really big on too. When I talked to him, I was like, what's the biggest lifestyle change that anybody can make? And he said, fast for 16 hours a day. Or he said, keep your eating window to 6 to 8 hours of the day. It's the biggest thing you can do for your health lifestyle wise. And that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Stephen.
No.
It's like who come up with breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Where did that framework come up from? And so many times,
very arbitrary.
Yeah, and a lot of my friends I talk to will say, it comes around to dinner time, and I'm not really hungry, but I'm saying to myself, it's time to eat. Like this conditioning.
Yeah, it's definitely that. I still eat dinner. Dinner is probably the one meal of the day that I just naturally align to always be eating. But yeah, it's really interesting how there's no biological reason that we need 3 meals a day. There's no justification for it in literature, but yet we hear it every day. We hear it all the time. Like, oh, it's just breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, oh, you didn't have breakfast? Oh no! Like, what's wrong? You need to eat. You need to eat. And really, in a lot of cases, eating all the time is what's killing us.
Yeah.
It's not giving your body an opportunity to reset and regenerate. It's not giving your body opportunity to detox, because you can detox the organs when you're not inundating them with whatever you want to call input all the time. And that's another thing that can be really helpful when you combine it. Fasting with a powerful practice like Qigong, then you can have really, really strong impact on the healing environment of your body and really creating an environment, a terrain where disease cannot exist. Qigong, I'm biased. Qigong is what for me, so
it's amazing. Qigong. It's something that I would love to start. I've been looking at a lot of people that have been doing Qigongs and the benefits to it, the energetic side, the energy side, because Max, as you know, if you leave the body alone, the body will heal self. The body is an intelligent, powerful engine, and it's our mind, the emotional side, that it always gets in the way of things, and just leave it alone. And that's why I always say that when people sleep, it's where, not with everybody, because sometimes people have got active minds and they have sleep problems, leave the body and the body will heal self. And you don't have to pump yourself with all this thing, with everything all the time.
Right. No, you just got to get out of your own way, let it reset. And it's an interesting thing you mentioned too about emotions getting in the way. And one thing that I've been really realizing more deeply lately is how, when we talk about things like when emotions get in the way, we don't fully recognize what that means because we're in the logical side of the brain having this conversation, and when actually emotions getting in the way, it's an emotional feeling. So you can't really understand that phrase unless you're going into an emotional state to really like empathize with that, So it's like we talk about emotions so much, and yet we're so dominantly ruled by them in our everyday goings on. And it's just when we try to like look above it, zoom out, look above everything, we're talking about it with logic, and we're not going into the perspective of like, oh, I could have done that better, because we're not seeing that we're being ruled by the emotions, especially in the moment a lot of the time. Was that coherent? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where that's where meditation, when you were talking about meditation before, observing, the meditational side helps us to observe our actions, our thoughts, our words, and not react, because it's the emotional, what we've learned over the years, which is very profound to us. It's actually the emotional body that does damage to the body. It's the emotional state that damages the body. And that's why when we do healing, you're not just doing physical healing, you're combining physical and spiritual healing together. You're not, and that's why I'm going to be very controversial here. That's why a lot of doctors, I know, I don't want to be bad, you see. But this is where a lot of practice doctors, in medicine doctors, don't have the knowledge on the spiritual side, because we're not just physical, we're energetic as well. And that's why I feel a lot of the Chinese culture, the medicine side, is very much more in front of the Western medicine, because they have a real understanding about energy. Look at acupuncture and acupuncture pressure, how electromagnetically we're made of meridian, the meridians and the energy centers in the body.
I mean, I was just going to say something and just blanked.
I have those moments all the time.
Yeah. Oh man, I was really into what you were saying. Somehow I just.
Yeah. So just as we started talking about so many subjects we covered, but I kind of want to bring it a little bit back round, but we've talked about the weather, and we were having a conversation about the weather before we joined all you lovely people listening, and the changes in the weather, and strange weather patterns and chemtrails as well. So I'm just interested if you wanted to share your observations with chemtrails and what you experienced.
I look at the skies all the time since I started learning about UFOs and stuff years ago. I'm always watching the skies to see if I see anything. Not that I'm like, is that a UFO? Well, I kind of am, but like I'm not like expecting to see a UFO. I just habitually look at the skies. You know what I mean? Because most people don't look up. So I just, if you watch the skies and you kind of make it a habit to watch the skies, you'll notice things that maybe a lot of people don't notice, which is one thing that there's significant geoengineering going on. And I mean, I know a lot of people know this, but I mean, for anyone that's skeptical, you can just watch the skies. So in Texas here, like last year, we had a record winter, like a blizzard, like a week-long blizzard, shut down the road, shut down the city. A lot of places were without power. And it was weird because it was like March or April. It was like, I think maybe it must have been March, but it was super late for a blizzard. And also, we don't really get snow in Texas. Texas is like desert cowboy country. We get a little bit cold in the winter, and maybe we're lucky if we see snow in some parts of Texas, but that's for a whole blizzard where snow is sticking. That was really strange. That was kind of made me wonder, like I highly doubted that was a natural event. But this winter I've been watching the skies, and like I keep seeing the sun is going strong. The Texas sun is shining really strong. It has no problem. Like you can go outside, lay outside some days and get a tan. It's so bright and so strong. But if you watch the skies, you'll see these planes going in formations and spreading out these trails, which they say are contrails, right? But then they spread out into this haze that encompasses the entire sky. And after this happens, it starts to get colder. When you have direct sunlight, it's warm, it's fine. And this is a time of year where it should start to be warming up. And yet I'll watch the skies and they'll cover the skies in haze. And you can watch it happen over hours, where it'll be like a trail and then it's haze. And they do a bunch of these trails so that it's a thick haze. It completely blocks out the sun and creates this artificial winter that, at least in Texas, I do believe we are experiencing. I don't believe that this is natural cold.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think you're on your own there.
I don't think so either, especially since Bill Gates is out talking about, we're about to experience a lot of climate change.
Yeah.
He's really psychic. It's crazy. He always knows what's about to happen.
Yeah. There's a few like that. It's interesting. But do you know, when we talk about the subject of climate change, let's go into that one. And I don't think we've discussed this with anybody yet. And we've discussed it a lot. Okay. What you believe to be natural and what you believe to be unnatural.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I think that you can't have an honest conversation about climate change without talking about geoengineering.
Yeah.
There have been public geoengineering conferences. There's a documentary, What in the World Are They Spraying?, where they even crash some of these geoengineering talks with scientists and like ask, well, isn't aluminum going to be bad for people's health if they're raining down from the sky? What do I think is unnatural and natural? I think that the cooling pattern is unnatural. I think that I honestly haven't looked that deeply into it. I just go by my own firsthand experience. And if you're watching something happening before your eyes, and if the pattern repeatedly plays out, then there's something to it. So as far as weather phenomena, I think that a lot of it's engineered, honestly. Like, I don't want to be all conspiratorial, but I really feel like weather is being weaponized against us, and not just weather phenomena, but earthquakes.
Yeah.
Earthquakes, tsunamis. Like, I think that a lot of it's just being weaponized against us. And like, I don't know, they can trigger earthquakes. Did you know this? By sending radar frequencies into the earth along fault lines. You send a certain range of frequency, RF, down into the earth along a fault line, it'll trigger an earthquake.
Wow.
So I don't even know what HAARP's doing, but I mean, if even basic radar techs have figured this out, then I think there's a lot of weather manipulation going on that we don't know about. And I also, on the flip side of that, really I'm excited about seeing a world where more people realize the power that they have over the weather, over everything in our reality, especially when we come together. And what I see is people like hurricanes coming in and then entire towns of people coming together and dissipating the hurricane. Because if you meditate and you go into a hurricane, like if a hurricane's happening, next time it's happening, just go ahead and sit with it, meditate with it, and energetically go into the hurricane. It feels like fear. It feels like this out of balance emotion. And so I believe that if people can come together and realize the power that they have, then we could dissipate entire catastrophes before they happen. Also, on that note, it's relatively easy to influence the weather for yourself.
We had some friends who were doing what we call over here cloud busting, which would be the opposite, so dispersing the chemtrails and clearing it.
Yeah, that's one of the most accessible demos that you can do to show yourself that you can affect reality. Is cloud and expand into it, and just everyone has a little different method, but feel yourself expanding, visualizing that particles are spreading out, and this will also help to bring out the sun on a cloudy day. My teacher actually has a demo on YouTube of, like, he was with a friend that didn't believe he could bring the sun out when it was super overcast outside, and so he points the camera towards where the sun is and starts working. In a couple minutes, the sun comes out. It's like it's really way more accessible than people think it is, and I've done the same thing when I was living in New York for I lived there for 3 years as an adult, And it was just really a depressing winter. By the way, New York has like, I don't know how the UK is. New York's like 6 to 7 month winter. It's absolutely sucks. And I just wanted to see the sun because it had been weeks. And so I was like, okay, after I got off work, it's like 7 a.m. I'm going home. I'm like, okay, I'm expanding out. I'm going to let the sun come out. And it had been overcast for weeks, guys, like dark gray skies. And so I was just expanding out all the way home. I went outside, kept expanding out. I set up my camera as soon as I got home in a time lapse. And within 45 minutes, the clouds spread out, went away, and the sun came out. I mean, it was still cloudy outside, but it went from a dark gray sky to like white clouds and sun completely shining through. And that was just me being one person expanding out with the intention to let the sun come out. And many times, like when I was moving in Austin, it started to rain. I went outside. My friends were over. I was going to get all my furniture ruined. I went outside and expanded out. Took 5 minutes to just do a grounding meditation and visualize and feel up in the air, particles spreading out, everything drying out, sunlight streaming through. Within 15 minutes, it stopped raining all day long, and I was able to move all my things to my other house, to my new house. So it was like, we can influence the weather much more easily than we think. And I don't know what it would be like if the whole world realizes this and everybody's doing it. I have no idea.
Magical.
Yeah, maybe I think that maybe we're all in our like fractal realities, and maybe we can like all influence the weather easily. And it's like we're in a co-creative collective, but also individual fractal. I don't know how it all works on a big scale, but that's might be a weird answer to your question. But I think that natural weather phenomena can occur based on consciousness and based on our own harmonization with the environment.
No, that was really interesting, just what we're looking for. And it something that keeps repeating in my mind a lot. People have said for many years, seeing is believing. But I feel it's the reverse. You've got to believe before you're going to see.
Yeah.
And if you believe you can do that and you've got that energy and how accessible it is, look what you can create. It's amazing.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of, we found over here, we've been experiencing some storms that, to be honest, it probably seemed like a mild draft to many other countries. But we're finding the media have been working things up a lot, like making people really fear something that, I mean, we're on the coast here, and it's
about the weather, or what about
the weather. Yeah. So it's quite normal for us this time of year around February, March to experience high winds, really strong. And it's like a constant barrage of this thing, it's going to damage, this is going to happen, fear that comes along with it. So that
everything's going wrong.
Yeah. And really, it's what we'd call in the town we live in is a sea breeze.
Oh wow, you guys are used to it. It's no problem.
Yeah, it's no problem. Like we were talking about before, like we were saying before we went on recording, though, if we do get an inch of snow in this country, we go into complete panic. So if the blizzard happened, like probably what you're talking about, I don't know what happened.
Oh my god, yeah, that's another thing. If an area is not used to driving in the snow and ice, it's really a scary sight to see an area when they get snow and ice. Like, oh, you can't get traction on ice? What? Your car slides?
What's the situation over in the US at the moment with fracking?
I have no idea.
That's another thing. I mean,
I'm guessing. I would guess that the current administration is really against it. I don't know.
That seems to be something that turned as well in the UK. The same. There's a lot of strong protests and movement against it that's changed it, because we felt that was something else that's causing disturbances in the earth plane and causing the unnatural. You know, the earth would be contributing to that. Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like if we had something being drilled into our skin, how would we react?
Right.
It's like the Earth's consciousness reacting to what's being done.
Right. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what's happening with the situation, though. I've not been following political stuff at all. I've been kind of buried in making content and learning more about healing stuff.
To be fair, it's a good time to ignore it.
Yeah.
Probably the best time to ignore anything
Right.
political.
Especially when you got the geopolitical situation changing now, and some people are going to be going in fear. Like, I'm just going to create harmony, we got to take care of what's here. We're talking about changing from the inside out, or changing ourselves to change the world. And, that's really more of what we need, to stop looking out there and stop trying to change everything out there. And how can I optimize everything that's here? And another thing is, like, people will think, oh, how do you find spiritual people? Nobody will have these conversations with me. I can't talk about this stuff with anybody. If you're, really vibrating at that frequency, really strongly, like you're embodying it, and that's, you guys and people that can have this conversation, that's all the people that I meet. I don't meet many muggles anymore. It's people that have been opened up to this stuff, and that see through the bullshit, see through the matrix. And it's because I've done enough. I think it's because I've done enough inner transformation that, like, what I see all around me is conversations like this. So it's not like it's rare, but it's because enough self-transformation has happened that this is the world now for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Across the board.
It's the man in the mirror.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
We talk about quite a bit, and it's so easy to look at other people or situations and say, you need to change this, you need to change that. Well, how about to look within? And that's hard to do. Are you ready? Are you ready to take those steps? And that's how we make that world.
Exactly. And also, when I noticed that in my marketing, it's like I have to, like, limit how much I talk about that, because nobody wants to deal with that.
Literally, people will get up and walk out of the room.
Yeah. People aren't into it. They're like, oh, well, what's a pill I can buy? What's a product I can buy? Like, you have to transform yourself. What's something else I could do? What's another way I can heal this without actually going into myself?
Yeah.
A lot of it is scary. It can be, I'm sure, Max, you talk about your journey, and anybody's listening, the journey's not easy, but you either enjoy your suffering or do something about it. And it's tough. We've all been there. I'm sure, Max, you talk about your experiences. You talk about yours, Chris. Our journeys to self-healing's not always been easy, but the transformational part is a great adventure. It's a wonderful experience. And when you're free from those distortions, those false belief systems that we've all been part of for millions of years, freedom, it's a feeling that nobody can really, unless you've experienced it yourself, can really talk about. It is not easy, the journey to self-healing, but when you get there, when you look at your trauma, when you look at your pain, when you let go of the things that are hurting you, that are anchoring you from transforming, you're smoking and drinking and all these harmful things that, it was only less than 50 years ago we were told by the media how wonderful and how great smoking is, how good it is for the body. But we now know it's not good.
Trust the
you know what I'm
science.
trying to say?
Yeah, trust the science. Yeah.
Right. Beautifully said, Stephen.
Yeah. It's the selective science. This is the thing. There's we talk about. There's so many. There's other voices out there. Yeah.
It's so irreplaceable. This feeling of freedom. This feeling of, I really love, that was so poetic, of these anchors that keep us tethered to our suffering. And it's, the release of these, it's just everything that everybody wants is on the other side of releasing from these attachments. Like, everybody wants to look younger, healthier. That's on the other side of letting go of these attachments. Everyone wants more abundance in their lives. They want better social relationships. It's on the other side of all these attachments to these trauma responses and this tension and the protective postures that we erect walls and barriers around us so that we don't have to be one with our reality. And that's the big secret to everything, is that it's all oneness. It's all in unity. Whether it's coming together in prayer or meditation, or experiencing that every atom contains every other atom, everything is quantum entangled. The whole theme, the overarching theme, is that everything's in oneness. And that's why there's that's the difference between allopathic medicine and holistic medicine.
Yeah.
Is one treats everything as like specialized compartments. You know, you have different specialists, different types of doctors for different parts of the body, versus seeing the body as an interconnected unit where everything affects everything and it's all one thing. And then you're talking about the emotions along with the physical side and the spiritual side. It's all one system. Yeah, rant over.
You know, it's amazing. Something
Oh.
that we teach here at the Purple Mountain in Fleetwood. Very often in all our healing classes, we don't treat the condition, we treat the patient. You treat the whole body, not the condition. And that's
Yes.
where the disconnection between doctors and holistic therapists and people, you're treating the whole body. You're not treating the condition. It is often, you know, we do a lot of massages and body manipulation, and you know, people might come in and they might have a knee problem, and it might do, you know, we might pick up it's actually to do with the stomach. It might be to do with your shoulder. So different parts of the body, like when we look at reflexology, when we look at different points, it's just simple teachings that should be out there, people should be following, you know, and it make people's lives spiritually, physically, mentally much easier for people.
Right, exactly. And I think the best way that we can help more people find that is to make this stuff as appealing as possible. That's why I made my entire message about like what I really want is for people to awaken and find oneness within themselves, within the universe, and you know, like realize that this is all a big fun dream simulation, whatever. But like how I'm getting people there is I'm showing people like, hey, this pain that you have, this tinnitus that you have, this back problem that you have, like you can find relief from the pain. So it's like a carrot on a stick to make people give a crap about transforming themselves, you know, really like making them aware of the pain that they're in that they want to heal. And so making meditation and self-mastery as appealing as possible so that people actually are motivated to make the transformation and experience their best lives. And I think that's what we can do. Like that's the role that we serve here, like having these super interesting conversations like we're having right now, and really piquing interest so that people see the value in what's trying to be communicated.
Oh, very inspirational that, Max. Very inspirational. Very, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And just something I wanted to touch on, it feels like we've covered so many subjects, and really good. So I hope everybody's enjoyed it. Is I find the posts that you do on TikTok and elsewhere, they're always quite like quick and very uplifting as well. Like you're always really having the best time. And I feel that that's a really good way to do things. I'm not just saying that. I feel because you're getting information out there, but it's kind of fun as well. Is that something you're consciously aware of, as sort of the way you want to put that information out there in that sort of uplifting way as well?
Well, I really appreciate you saying that because from my perspective, I don't know how I'm coming off, you know, like I hope that I'm being received well, but I appreciate that. I am trying to, like, I got on TikTok. The whole reason I got on TikTok was because I was scrolling through all the videos and realizing like, man, there's some serious ego issues here. Like, man, there's like a lot of negative programming and like very like flesh-based 3D kind of, I don't know, low vibrational programming in a lot of the content that I was seeing. And so I wanted to like keep the same spirit that was doing so well. And that's this high energy kind of funny spirit that makes videos engaging and interesting, but also help people become their highest selves, like teach people about meditation, but make it as interesting as possible. So I do try to do that. And it's really heartwarming to hear that it kind of comes across like that, because sometimes I feel like I'm really low energy in my videos. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something me and Stephen feel very passionate about is, we talk about shadow work, looking within, digging deep, but also to remember that we're here to enjoy our experience as well and be joyful and happy and enjoy every minute. that we can enjoy our surroundings, and I feel I just
Mhm.
feel it's a very good combination, because there's a absolute serious subject there that's hard hitting, but it comes across joyful. So well done for that. Anyway, so
Thank you. Appreciate you, brother.
yeah, so I just really enjoyed the chat, and we'd love to have you on again. Probably not wait so long.
Anytime, guys. Anytime. I love talking to y'all. Yeah, it really is uplifting and energizing to have this conversation.
You should try
Yeah.
to, if you ever come over to the UK, you can stop at our centre for a couple of days, and we do healing retreat nights.
Oh,
And we
dude,
can do
guys, I want to come
talks.
over so bad. Like, as soon as I need to check on like the COVID travel restrictions, but as long as it's realistic to make the journey, absolutely want to go over there. Like
Yeah.
soon, like within the first half of this year. So it'd be cool.
I
Also,
think
I'm gonna be on the radio in the UK, maybe today or tomorrow.
Oh wow! So
Um,
what station's that going to be on?
oh, just somebody's gonna give me a plug. There's a Virgin Groove Radio
Oh
host
yeah.
said that she's gonna plug me on the radio. So
Oh,
I'm in the UK twice today.
Amazing.
spreading the word. You'll be everybody be ready to welcome you.
I definitely want to come over. What I'm trying to say is, like, I might set up a workshop in England or Scotland. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
I think if I could, I definitely have some followers in the UK, and if we could set up an event.
Yeah, you
and
can
have
host at
healing
our
workshops, that'd
centre
be
up
amazing.
north. We're Northern England. You can set up at our centre, and you can use our space.
Beautiful. Yeah. Oh, that's the answer then. All right.
I think the only thing I
would love to hang
disagree
out
with
with you guys and kick it.
I think the only thing I disagree with Stephen on is maybe you'd need more than a couple of days. That'd just cover the jet lag. I think you need a few weeks.
Oh yeah, I would be there at least a couple of weeks.
Yes,
I feel like it's just a tease to be somewhere for a couple of days and leave.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, just one last question I want to ask you. Now, this is a bit different. Is last time we did this talk, a very close friend of ours was intrigued with the rhino that you have behind you, and I've noticed you've still got it, the ornament. And does that have any significance?
I don't know the significance of it. It belongs to my roommate.
All right. Oh,
Yeah, he collects art from around the world, and this whole house is like a museum of art from all over the world. So I'm sorry to tell you, I don't know what the origin
oh,
of
well,
that
there you
art
go.
is.
Yeah. Well, at least we've answered the question for those interested.
This is an abundance portal. This room that I'm in is an abundance portal. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so thank you so much, Max. Thanks for giving your time so freely. It's been energizing and really great to speak with you once again. If anybody is interested in more of Max's work, please check out his website, maxwellreader.com. We will post the links below. And yeah, we just want to send lots of love to everybody out there. We know there's so many people who are seeking knowledge and just love to have these conversations. And every time we do this, we're sharing information and we're sharing truth. So, as we were saying before we started recording, it's a great time to be alive. Wouldn't you agree, Max?
Yes, it is. Chris, Stephen, you guys are amazing. I love you so much. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. I would love to have you guys in the Eyesight Healing Challenge starting Monday if you wanted to.
Yeah, count us in. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
okay.
Love to connect more. So yeah, thank you so much, Max. And yeah, lots of love. And thank you to everybody listening. Wherever you're listening to us, please click and subscribe. We appreciate the support as we're doing this with the sole purpose of spreading truth and knowledge. So lots of love, everyone, till we speak again.
Thank you, Purple Mountain.